welcome back. So, obviously you've seen by the time that you see this video, you will have seen my latest update video about what has gone on in my life and why I have not been posting in however long I've not been posting. But today's video is going to be something I decided to look up because I was bored and have nothing better to do with my time. Top 10 ancient famous philosophers. Okay, so basically I have something here and it is something that I looked up and I'm going to try not to read word for word, but you know how stuff happens. We'll see. Okay, so in ancient times when people looked up at the sky, they thought they lived in a dome because they didn't know about the laws of nature. Obviously, ancient people are not going to know that. Early philosophers were pre-scientific scientists. They were asking questions about the cosmos and what its basic constitutions are and its origin and what the place of humanity is within it. Basically every question we all have all the time. Okay, so the first guy is Democritus, circa 460 to 370 BC. For anyone who knows how to say that name, I'm pretty sure I butchered it. Okay, so his quotes are, and as follows: happiness resides not in possessions and not in gold. Happiness dwells in the soul. Nothing exists except atoms and empty space, and everything else is opinion. Throw moderation to the winds, and the greatest pleasures bring the greatest pains. Do not trust all men, but trust men of worth. The former course is silly, the latter a mark of prudence. Everything existing in the universe is the fruit of chance and necessity. I would rather discover one scientific fact than become king of Persia. By desiring little, a poor man makes himself rich. It is greed to do all the talking, but not want to listen at all. That actually makes sense for anyone who cares. Our sins are more easily remembered than our good deeds. If thou suffer injustice, console thyself. The true unhappiness is in doing it. So the second to last line, saying that he did, makes sense, because we all know that history is written by the victors. So, yeah, that's how that works. He was an ancient Greek philosopher and one of the first atheists in history. He offered a materialistic explanation of the world and did not refer to gods or spirits. He and his teacher, Leucippus, I butchered that name too. It's spelled Leucippus, for anyone who cares and knows how to pronounce that, are credited with the development of the atomic theory. They had absolutely no scientific reason for thinking so, but proposed all matter was made of invisible particles, such known as atoms. So, the next one is Heraclitus. If that doesn't sound like a sex name, I don't know. Circa 535 to 475 BC. I'm not going to read out all of his quotes, but I'm just going to read out a few. There's nothing permanent except change. Nothing endures but change. A man's character is his fate. Much learning does not teach understanding. Change alone is unchanging. The road up and the road down is one and the same. Man is most nearly himself when he achieves the seriousness of a child at play. All is flux, nothing stays still. He was known as the weeping philosopher, supposedly because of his view of life. He had a reputation for being obscure and is well known for his aphoristic sayings such as, "You can never step into the same river twice," because Heraclitus held that the cosmos was in a constant state of flux. The notion that everything in the world flows and compares the universe to a river. He's not wrong. Next one is Laozi, circa 6th and 5th century BC. Laozi quotes are as follows: "Do the difficult things while they are easy, and do the great things while they are small. A journey of 1,000 miles must begin with a single step." Being deeply loved by someone gives you strength, while loving someone deeply gives you courage. Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. A good traveler has no fixed plans, and is not intent on arriving. When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. I like that line. I think I'm going to take that one. If you do not change direction, you may end up where you are heading. Music in the soul can be heard by the universe. To the mind that is still, the whole universe surrenders. He who knows others is wise. He who knows himself is enlightened. That should tell you something. Anyway, despite the otherwise impressive record of meticulous chronicles and list of rulers, officials, and other degenerates of archaic China, almost nothing is known about Laozi. Imagine that. Even the meaning of his name is uncertain. The most likely interpretation is Old Master. In the Western world, Laozi is usually understood as an ancient Chinese philosopher and is considered the founder of Taoism. For anyone who doesn't know what that is a religion, sort of, theoretically. Considering I know next to nothing about that, I'm not an expert. Which is one of the three teachings of Chinese philosophy and belief with Confucianism and Buddhism. Again, those two are supposedly religions. Again, I'm not an expert, so don't quote me on it. Next one is Thales of Miletus, circa 640. My dyslexic is kicking in. 624, circa 546 BC. His quotes are as follows: "The most difficult thing in life is to know yourself." Again, we've already heard this from some of the others. "Hope is the only good thing that is common to all men. Those who have nothing else possess hope still. Nothing is more active than thought, for it travels over the universe, and nothing is stronger than necessity, for all must submit to it. Water is the principle of everything." That's very true. For anyone who knows anything, without water, you'd be screwed. Our body can't last without it. It also can't last without food. So, moving on. "Time is the wisest of all things that are, for it brings everything to light. A multitude of words is no proof of a prudent mind. Avoid doing what you would blame others for doing. Necessity is the strongest of things, for it rules everything. Nothing is more ancient than God, for he was never created. Place is the greatest thing, as it contains all things." Thales, or however you want to look at it, was a pre-Socratic natural philosopher, geometer, and astronomer born in Miletus. Thales argued against the mythological way of explaining life. He had the incredible optimistic idea that human beings can uncover the true workings of nature with our mind and senses. According to the philosopher Edmund Husserl, philosophy began with individuals such as Thales, who lived the philosophical life. It inspired others to do the same and led to new forms of communication which spread across borders. In other words, countries, cultures, everything. Confucius, 551-479 BC. "I hear and I forget. I see and I remember. I do and I understand. It does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop. Choose a job you love and you will never have to work a day in your life. Everything has its beauty, but not everyone sees it. Our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall." Okay, I'm not going to read out of all of his, but you can find most of his quotes everywhere. His real name is Kong Q, or however you want to say that. I am horrible at Chinese names, so ignore that. Respectively called Kongzi, Master Kong. Latinized, the name is Confucius. Confucius is considered to be the father of the Eastern style of thought. His philosophy is morality, correct social relationships, justice, and honesty. I don't know why I read that wrong. Became official teaching during the Han Dynasty, known as Confucianism. Yeah. When asked to summarize his teachings in a single phrase, Confucius said, "What you do not wish for yourself, do not do to others." Next, we have Marcus Aurelius, AD 121 to 180. His quotes are as follows. I'm only going to read a few, considering we're all already 10 minutes in. Technically 11 now. "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. Death smiles at us all, but all a man can do is smile back." Okay, so he was known as Marcus Aurelius Antonius Augustus, better known as simply as Marcus Aurelius, was a Roman emperor and a Stoic philosopher. Marcus was influenced by writings of Epicurus and believed the Stoic idea that all events in the universe will reoccur in future world cycles. In other words, he's saying that everything will happen again, depending on how you look at it. History repeats itself, all that shit. At least that's the way I'm reading it. The Meditations, a series of personal writings by Marcus, was written without any intention of publication, but is considered a literary monument to Stoic philosophy. Epicurus, 341 to 71 BC. His quotes are as follows: "Do not spoil what you have by desiring what you have not. Remember that what you now have was once among the things you only hoped for. Death is nothing to us, since when we are, death has not come, and when death has come, we are not. Not what we have, but what we enjoy constitutes our abundance. Death does not concern us, because as long as we exist, death is not here, and when it does come, we no longer exist. You don't develop courage by being happy in your relationships every day. You develop it by surviving difficult times and challenging adversity." Epicurus was a Greek philosopher, a follower of Democritus. Why do they have to have weird, long names? And founder of Epicureanism. I'm reading that wrong, I'm sure. Which is teaching focused on the search of happiness and wisdom. He was perhaps the earliest radical believer in human equality. Certainly in the Western world, he allowed women and slaves to attend his school because he saw no distinction. Aristotle. I'm pretty sure you've heard of him. He's pretty popular. 384 to 322 BC. "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. It is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. The whole is more than the sum of its parts. Man is by nature a political animal." Ain't that the fucking truth? Moving on. "Educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all." Okay, so Aristotle is one of the most famous and influential philosophers and naturalists in history. A student of Plato, and later tutor to Alexander the Great. Aristotle was an Epicurist. I'm horrible at these words. Focused on the ape. I'm not even going to try to read all these. Routes to knowledge, that is, we gain knowledge by looking at the world and understanding it. Famously, Aristotle worked out that an eclipse was caused by the moon moving between the earth and the sun, or by the earth itself moving in front of the sun, and a shadow is cast across our field of vision. Therefore, the earth must be spherical. In other words, round. Plato. 428 to 348 BC. "Wise men talk because they have something to say. Fools because they have to say something. In other words, fools don't always have something to say, they just say it because they can. Only the dead have seen the end of war. Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle. The measure of a man is what he does with power. Love is a serious mental disease. I don't know if I agree with that one. Plato was the prime pupil of Socrates, and in fact, a lot of what Socrates is said to have written may have belonged to Plato. Imagine that. He was a rational philosopher, or rather a priori, which means you try to work out knowledge logically. You don't gain it from your senses. Plato founded the Platonic Academy, the oldest institutional school of philosophy in Greece. Okay, Socrates, 469 to 399 BC. His quotes are as follows, and I'll try to hurry along. An unexamined life is not worth living. True knowledge exists in knowing that you have nothing. Beware the barrenness of a busy life. I know that I am intelligent because I know that I know nothing. When the debate is over, slander becomes the tool of the loser. By all means, marry. If you get a good wife, you'll become happy. If you get a bad one, you'll become a philosopher. That's weird. I cannot teach anybody anything. I can only make them think. There is only one good, knowledge, and one evil, ignorance. Education is the kindling of a flame, not the filling of a vessel. He is richest who is content with the least, for content is the wealth of nature. All information about Socrates has come to us through his pupils, Plato and Xenophon, whatever. Because Socrates himself could not read or write. His death sentence and his frequent presence in his disciples' dialogues helped to make him one of the most famous philosophers of all time. Socrates' outstanding significance is shown above all in its lasting effect within the history of philosophy, but also in the fact that the Greek thinkers before him today are called pre-Socratic. Yeah. I cannot fucking speak. Okay, so that is basically the video. I will try to find most of these pictures of these men, and I make no guarantees, so if there's not any pictures at the end of this video, I'm sorry. Hopefully it's not too boring considering it's 17 minutes long, technically 18 now. And I will see you guys next time, and hopefully you guys like it.